Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and of course, I have another review for you. This is Boom Studios' Dark Blood. This is issue 3 of 6 by Boom Studios. It's written by Latoya Morgan, illustrated by Moisés Hidalgo, colored by A.H.G, and letters by AndWorld Design. I got the variant on the cover. I like the homage to the Tale of Suspense. Okay, my real review and what I think about this book. We're going to get into the story, and I'll kind of lay on some of my thoughts after we kind of get into it. And I kind of only have like 2 issues. So, for those of you that don't know, we are following a main character, and basically his family, his wife, his daughter, and really it deals within. It's a back and forth story. The before story is kind of a war story, and it follows our main character, going through I assume World War II. And then on the other end, it jumps forward, and it's him back at home dealing with the atrocities of racism in our world currently at that time. I do applaud in the first 2 issues, they really handled it really well. But that's basically where we are. In the first issue, we had our main guy, and he ran into basically a guy that was just, he was gonna kind of beat him up or rob him or shoot him, and it all had to do with just racism. It was a white guy versus a black guy scenario, and this book is not set in current times. I think it is in the 50s, and if you look back on history, that was kind of a regular thing. It's a shame, but it's kind of, this isn't like the book making it up. This is a sad part of our history. But at the end of the first issue, we do learn that our main hero, he does have some kind of superpowers. It looks like he was like maybe tested on in during the war. Some kind of like electricity looking thing that comes from his back. But basically, this is kind of going off of that point. At the guy that was going to try to beat him or shoot him or whatever kind of ran off, and the guy ran off in a different direction, and now police are kind of like investigating what went on, and that's where this book starts off. So we are catching up with the wife. Her name is M, and it's just basically going on with her daily lives, and they're kind of just demonstrating the world that this is stuck in. Again, it is a back and forth, then like right here it says 10 years before the variance. We do not know what the variance is. They do reference it quite often, 10 years before the variance, 6 months before the variance. And I have to assume the variance is our guy getting his powers, or maybe something else. I don't know, because they have shown that he does have powers, and then not at all points of the story. But it's basically she's picking up books from, she's being gifted, I think they are books from like a library or something like that, but basically secondhand, that we see she is receiving them from an elderly white lady. The main detail that the book tries to get you to focus on is the like white cop that is steadily watching her, and is very suspicious. He's kind of like in the background. But he is shown in enough panels that's where the book wants you to notice that that basically she's being watched, and it's kind of she's feeling uncomfortable just walking around town and doing neighborly errands kind of thing. They do jump back like to what our main character is. I'm drawing a blank at his name. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. If I read it, I'll kind of blurt it out as we go along. But we do catch up with our main character, and we've already known that he is, he already had a plane accident. His plane has gone down, it has crashed, him and his, I think, co-pilot, and I think his co-pilot is his captain, and his captain is injured, and basically he is trying to, get to safety while, saving his captain at the same time, and they are in I want to say they are in German territory, and at the time, the Germans do know that they are in that territory, and they are looking for them, so they're not in the best of situations. They kind of jump back into present times, and they show they catch up with our main character after he, you know, showed us our superpowers and has ran off, and they've shown that he has run off into the woods, and now the police are investigating that investigation and getting kind of witness statements on what went down. And most everybody paint the black guy to be the scary, tall guy that had some kind of weird magic, and he ran off that way kind of scenario. There is a, you know, an investigation on both ends at this point, because we see the sheriffs, and it's like reflection on the Germans that are at basically chasing the same man, just at different points in time, the past and present. It does get to a point where in the past present, you know, the past present, the past you know, the situation that we are, you know, where they're on the run, they come across like a cabin, him and the captain, and they kind of bunker down, and they know the Germans are getting close. And at this point, the story kind of heavily focuses on that. They do, in present day, they do come across a similar cabin, and he is not at this cabin, and it happens to be the owner of the diner that our main character works at, and he is being, and I want to say his name is like Augustus. Hold on. Avery is our main character's name, but and I apologize, I'm bad with names. But basically, they're asking the owner if they know if Avery has come there, if he is there, has he seen him, you know. And he basically explains the last time he saw him was when he got off of work, you know, before that situation with the guy that was trying to rob him outside the diner in the first issue. They kind of jump back over to him and his, you know, Avery's wife and his daughter, and basically at this point they are wondering why he isn't home, what happened to Daddy. Daddy usually reads me stories at this point, and it's kind of like just the mom consoling the daughter, and that, you know, kind of loving family type of situation. And of course, you know, the next stop on the cops' way was to check Avery's location once they learned that that's the guy they were looking from the owner of the diner, right? So it is a very uncomfortable scene with the you know, two white cops just basically, you know, looking for this Avery guy, and basically already under the assumption that he is the guilty party, and basically accusing his wife of, you know, being associated with the murderer or bad guy type situation. And I'm not mocking this book at all. You know, I'm kind of laying it out as close and as quickly as I can. It might seem like that. I'm not. I might at the end. That's a different story. Okay, so we did get to a situation where we do find out that Avery has been hiding out in the woods, and finally he's coming home, you know, and that was his thought too. He does get here, and the cops are already here, but eventually they do get nothing really from the wife, because she doesn't really know anything, and M sends the police officers on the way home. At the same time, we see that Avery does not go home, that he is not, you know, dumb enough to try and you know, wait the cops out or anything, and he does take a truck, and he ends up you know, leaving off. We do see that the cops do leave, and you know, Em does kind of start panicking, and she starts calling you know, around looking for Avery, because she still doesn't know why her husband isn't home from work. We go back to the, you know, past situation, and the Germans have found the cottage, and basically are searching the house, you know, and now knowing that that Avery and the captain are here somewhere, and it just shows that one of these soldiers mess up, and Avery and the captain get the jump on him, and it looks like they're about to shoot him in the back of the head. They don't even realize that they're in, you know, that Avery and the captain are in the same room with them. But that is the third issue. Now, with that all being said, and I promise when I was giving this review, I was not being mockery or anything. Okay, so I do have like a couple issues, and it's like the I really applauded the use of the way they presented the race issue, and being a white guy, of course, and okay. But with that being said, it's like in this issue, it was like, I mean, everything was like all so obvious. It's like everything you've ever heard when you think of these stereotypes when race is brought up. Now I'm not like hating on that, because they are main stereotypes and known. I mean, and some of these stereotypes, sad to say, are kind of true, but and most of them in our fashion, right? In the bad part, not the good part. But on another sense, some of the one of the things I'm not really liking, and it's like this, it happened around like the late 90s, I want to say, and yes, they've done it throughout time, but it's that the telling the story and then jumping around from past to present it just, as a reader, it gets, unless you really know, what the writer and the artist is going to paint as far as the picture, it kind of paints a real confusing story. Now, this issue is not, but if I'm trying to put the whole story in perspective as what went on in the past, present, and because sometimes it's like broken down into a three-part, past, a little before the past, and then present. So I wish most story writers would just get away from that device, that jumping around in time to tell a story. What's wrong with, hey, the story starts at A and we make it to B, C, D. Why does it have to be we start at Z and we hop to N and B and A just to get back to Z? And some books can pull that off, and they do really well. But I can say with this book, I can see where a lot of people would get confused, and they might not be able to follow so easily. Me, myself, there was a bunch of times where I'm having to flip back and forth. I'm trying to make sure that the panel, well, wait a minute, 10 years, 8 years, it does get a little confusing. That doesn't mean I'm going to drop it. I'm still curious about the variants, and I still have the right amount of questions going into it. But these are my thoughts going into it. I mean, by this point, the book is written and done. Not like any of my thoughts will change that. But maybe, the right people will hear this, or maybe a story writer out there will listen, and hopefully maybe it does. I don't know. These are just my thoughts. I don't know. But overall, the art was good. I wouldn't say it was the best I've seen, but as far as the story and it fitting in with the story, it does. The pacing of the story is kind of one of my problems, but we've already talked about that. But hey, that's my review on Dark Blood, issue number 3. I will be back. I have some more reviews coming. Bye.